welcome to World Sports Weekly. I'm your host, Natalie Rydström. The Formula One Roadshow is briefly leaving Europe and travelling to Canada for this Sunday's Canadian Grand Prix. Here now with us to discuss all the betting value is sports writer and SBR Forum contributor Richard O'Hagan. Richard, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Natalie.
Firstly, the Monaco Grand Prix certainly raised a few eyebrows as there was a surprise winner in Nico Rosberg. What did you make of his performance, and were you equally surprised by his win?
I was very surprised by it. We always knew that the Mercedes cars would go very fast in qualifying, but to have them then manage to last out the race was a real first for this year. Previously, they've really struggled with tyre wear issues, and in Monaco, we expect them to have an awful lot of problems because it's such a tight, windy track. But Rosberg played it brilliantly. He nursed his tyres, his team got it dead right with the pit stops, and he came out ahead. It wasn't so much a triumph of great driving as it was a triumph of great planning, but he was the man on the occasion, and well done to him.
Certainly so, and what a great team. It was great to see them working together like that. Now, moving on to the Canadian Grand Prix, Sebastian Vettel is once again among the shortest priced drivers. Bet365 has him at 11-4. Do you see him winning this time?
Well, it's a Grand Prix that he's never won, so he's going to have a great deal of incentive. He's really into the mind space of ticking things off on his list of things before he says he might retire in 3 years' time. So he'll definitely have the incentive. But the man to beat is Lewis Hamilton. He's won 3 out of the last 4 there, and the other one was won by Jenson Button. So it's a real Britain-friendly track, and I can very easily see Hamilton going well here.
Okay, now as we all know, the Canadian Grand Prix is never a race without incident. This seems to make the will there be a safety car bet more attractive than usual. Is this a bet you'll be making?
It certainly is. I wouldn't normally touch this because it really is an either or. If someone put it to me, you either have a safety car or you don't have a safety car. It's a bit like being pregnant. You either are or you're not. So the safety car is usually one I stay clear of. But in Canada, I think that just because really weird things happen in Canada, such as people hitting animals on the track. Oh, they've got this wall of champions thing where loads and loads of very well respected drivers seem fatally attracted to this piece of concrete that I think you're almost certain to see it, but you'll get a decent price on it as well because it's a little bit more unpredictable.
Okay, so that could be a worthwhile bet there.
It's definitely a worthwhile bet, even though it's only short odds.
Pastor Maldonado has dropped 10-1 in the driver to retire first market. With a season like he's had, he certainly seems to be the obvious play.
Yes, Maldonado's got a bit of a problem now. He's got a real chip on his shoulder about his car. And as the joke now goes, there's a horrible whining noise coming from Maldonado's car, and he's making it. But that doesn't mean that he's going to be the first guy out, because it's a track that he knows well. He did find the Wall of Champions a couple of years ago, curiously enough. But he's a kind of driver that tends to, if he's going to blow up in a race, he's not always the first one. It's usually somewhere further along when he starts thinking more about the cars and where he's going. I'd be looking at someone probably like Grosjean, who was doing really well this year, then had a brain freeze in Monaco and started being some kind of automated pinball bouncing off other cars. He had a bad reputation before this season. We thought he'd got rid of it. He hasn't. I think he's a good, solid bet of round about 16 to be the first man out of this race.
Okay. Now, Mercedes GP is now the slight favourite to be the winning car. Is this a bet you would normally make? And if so, what has the value here?
It's certainly a bet that I would normally make. The reason being, it's a 2-for-1 package. Each car team has 2 drivers, so you're effectively backing on one of their 2 drivers to get the car home in first place. Red Bull are always short odds because they've got Vettel and because they've got Mark Webber, who's not had a great season but is always capable of something. With the Mercedes, you've got Hamilton, you've got Rosberg. They've gone well the last 2 Grand Prix. They've got new tyres which are supposed to last longer as well. So I think they've got a real chance here. But don't also discount Ferrari. Ferrari could run very well in this race. It's a race that the Italians seem to have liked historically, so don't count them out either in this market.
So, Richard, who do you see winning this time round?
I think the race is actually Hamilton's to lose. It's obviously a track that he is greatly in favour of. It's one that suits his style of driving. The Mercedes is an improving car, so I really do see him going well. If you're looking for someone to finish in the top 3, then you might want to look at Vettel. Certainly want to look at Rosberg, but also look at Kimi Raikkonen, who had a horrible Grand Prix in Monaco, and will be really anxious to make up lost ground on Vettel in the champion drivers' race.
Okay, now Richard, before we end the show, is there anything else that we should be looking out for that has a good betting value?
I think there are two markets you can always look at. One is the team to score most points, because that's slightly different to the team which produces the winning car. What you're looking for is a team that will get its drivers high up in the top 10 finishes to score the maximum number of points, but not necessarily win the race, because you'll get more points for getting second and third than you will do for just winning the race and having your other car not finished. And that's a market that I always like to look at the likes of Ferrari in, because they've not been running right at the front of the pack, but they've been running consistently in the top 5 with both of their drivers. The other one is who's going to be on pole. And I would say in that market, you've definitely got to look at Hamilton and Rosberg, but also Raikkonen as well. They've been the 3 most consistent performers in qualifying so far. So those guys are definitely there for you to take.
All right, wonderful, Richard. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.